going to talk about paging space. A page is a unit of virtual memory that holds 4 KB of data and can be transferred between the real and auxiliary storage. It basically comes in between your memory and CPU. Whenever your memory gets filled up, um, you cannot open or you cannot create any new process. In that case, paging space comes into picture. What it does is, whenever a memory, the real memory gets filled up, let's say above 80%, there will be a lot of inactive pages in the memory. So those pages will be moved to the paging space, and new pages will be created for new processes, so that you can still work on the system, or you can still open or create new processes. And this makes, whenever a memory gets filled up, the paging activity between the memory and the paging space will be very high. So you need to have a appropriate memory and paging space for proper working of your system. So a paging space, it is also called as a swap space, is nothing but a logical volume with the attribute type equal to paging. This type of logical volume is referred to as a paging space, logical volume, or simply paging space. Even in Windows we have a paging space terminology. Over there we call it as virtual space. Normally in Windows, virtual space is automatically managed by the Windows operating system. Here in AIX, when you install the operating system, by default there will be a paging space created, and it is called as HD6. You can see lsps-a command will show the current paging spaces in your system. You can even find out using lsvg-l the VG name. You can see that is a LV of type paging, and it's called as HD6, and it's in open state. That is, the paging space is active right now. So this is the default paging space that comes up with the AIX operating system. If you want more paging space, you can increase the current LV, that is HD6, or if you want, you can create a new logical volume for additional paging space. So the default paging space size is determined during the system customizing phase of AIX installation according to certain standards, like paging space you can use no less than 16 MB except for HD6, and paging space can use no more than 20% of total disk space. So if your disk space is 20 GB, if your hard disk is 20 GB, the paging space cannot use more than 20 GB of the hard disk. And if the real memory is less than 256 MB, paging space is 2 times the real memory. And whenever your memory is equal to more than 256 MB of, then the paging space is 512 MB, or in for some applications they say like 0.75 or 75% of the real memory. So suppose if your memory is 12 GB, you can have a paging space of 75% of that is 9 GB. But it depends upon the system usage and the purpose for what you are going to use. For Oracle, better you can talk with your Oracle DBA, and they can give some suggestion on that. So today we'll see how to create a paging space, how to manage it, and how to increase it or decrease it, how to activate and deactivate, all those kind of things. Let us create a new paging space. For it, we'll use a command mkps -s, the number of logical partitions you need. My root volume group got a paging physical partition size of 32 MB. So if I want to have a paging space of 64 MB, I need to give 2 logical partitions, and finally I'm going to give a volume group name. This will create a paging space, Here I haven't supplied the paging space name, I mean the paging device name, so it took a generic name. The generic name starts from paging 00, and next time if we create, it will create a device of name paging 01. You can find out whether it is created successfully or not. Here you got it. Paging 00 is the LV name and the type is paging. It's using two logical partitions. It is in closed state, that means it is not yet activated. Whenever you create a paging space, an entry will be added to etc swap spaces file. Oh, it's just okay. Only if you say that it should be activated automatically, the entry will be added. So lsps-a shows our paging space, that is paging 00, and here the active field is no. That means after reboot the paging space will not be activated. You can change it at any point of time. -ay sorry, the auto field is the one for automatic activation. Okay, so whenever you switch on the auto field to yes, the entry for the paging space will be added to etc swap spaces. Here you can see paging there is a stanza for paging 0 adder with the device name, and if you want to find out the information on paging space, you can see it over here. The paging space is right now not activated, so you can see it is no. You can always activate it using a simple command called swap on. It's activated. So the total paging space in our system is the default one 512 MB plus the newly created 164 MB. It is 576 MB. lsps-s will give you the consolidated value, I mean the total value of paging space, as well as the percentage used for the paging space. Paging should not be used more than like 30 or 40%, and even if it reaches 40%, you will feel the system will be very slow, and sometimes you may not able to open the terminal, like a telnet or SSH session, and if the paging goes heavily, you may not even able to log into console. So in that case, the only thing you can do is to hard reboot a machine. You just press the power button off and press it on, and once the system comes up, you can find out using the error report what was the cause of system crash. So now we have activated a paging space, and we'll see how to deactivate it. So again, using the swap off command. Swap on is for switching on, and swap off is for switching off the paging space.